New movement today in both the federal court cases tied to the ICE building and how federal agents have dealt with protesters along Portland's south waterfront. This morning, a federal judge has extended a temporary ruling that blocks federal agents at Portland's ICE facility from using tear gas and other crowd control tactics. That order that initially went into effect on Tuesday, February 3rd, was good for 2 weeks, which meant it would have expired on Tuesday. But now with this extension in place, it'll be another 2 weeks, taking us all the way to March 4th, or until the court makes a more permanent decision in a hearing that is scheduled for March 2nd. The lawsuit alleges federal agents like ICE were using tear gas without warning and damaging the homes of people who live nearby. Meanwhile, the Trump administration argues the use of force is necessary because they claim that rioters and terrorists are assaulting officers and vandalizing federal property. Well, the other lawsuit connected to the ICE building was filed by Reach, the nonprofit who owns and operates the apartment building that's across the street from the ICE facility. Their lawsuit is also asking a federal judge to block the use of tear gas by federal agents around the ICE building, claiming that the excessive use of gases violates the tenants' Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. This case also has a hearing, and Fox 12's Spencer Schott was in the courtroom today for it.
Both sides wrapped up their arguments this afternoon. The plaintiffs arguing that the federal agencies who are protecting the ICE building are using excessive amounts of tear gas. They even argue that this prolonged exposure to chemical munitions is having devastating impacts to the health of the residents who live right across the street. But the federal government argued that not only do these law enforcement agencies have the right to use these chemical munitions, at times they have to for crowd control and to protect the building. This case goes back to June of last summer when multiple protests broke out in front of the ICE facility. The plaintiff showed videos taken from inside the apartment complex of giant clouds of smoke and tear gas coming down the street and into the apartments. There were even photos showing windows at the apartment building being broken by tear gas canisters and pepper balls being found on balconies multiple floors up from the street. The plaintiffs argue the way the tear gas and other chemical munitions are being used is impacting bystanders and is unconstitutional. The federal government has arguing that the federal government has other methods of crowd control that would have a smaller impact on the surrounding community. An attorney for the plaintiffs said, quote, "They should not be using these chemical munitions to facilitate the egress of vehicles to and from the building or to prevent protesters from trespassing and crossing the blue line, because this excessive use of tear gas is poisoning the residents right across the street." The federal government said that their defense is simple. Law enforcement has the right to use crowd control as they see fit, arguing even the videos of the large clouds of tear gas are not incriminating because the videos do not show what led up to the chemicals deployment. The judge did ask the defense why the feds did not produce any video showing these confrontations, and the defense attorney said it would be too burdensome to review the surveillance footage from the building and redact the sensitive information in time for the hearing. After more than 2.5 hours of oral arguments and questions from the judge said she had heard everything that she needed to and will be taking this case under advisement. But she did not provide any timeline of when she will make a decision. Reporting in downtown Portland, Spencer Schott, Fox 12 Oregon.